Filming live from the firehouse, it's Good Night with Christopher Blue, with special guest, Andrew Iwamasa. I'm your co-host, Reverb, and here is your host, Christopher Blue.
Hello, and welcome to Good Night with Christopher Blue. I'm Christopher Blue, and I would like to thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Don't forget to ring that bell so you get notified whenever we upload new content. When we come back, we have an awesome guest to tell us about his comic book shop. See you then.
Oh, hello there. I just wanted to thank you for continuing to support the show. What's this? You feel like you could do more? Let me tell you how. You can go to our Patreon. The link is in the description, and you can subscribe to any of our memberships. Why, we have memberships that allow you to see extra content. We have memberships that allow you to have your name at the end of every episode. All while you get to support the show and help us to grow. It warms my heart to know that you are out there supporting us while we are hard at work to entertain you. So, join the Patreon if you haven't already, and I'm going to get back to my jokes.
Welcome back. Tonight's guest owns his own comic book shop, and he's going to tell us all about it. So out of studio, take it away, Chris.
All right. So I am here with Andrew, owner of Collector's Corner. Andrew, go ahead and say your last name for me because I am known for butchering names. So
yeah, absolutely. Iwamasa.
Iwamasa. That is an awesome sounding last name. Is that like a common name for,
No, my heritage is Japanese, and not a super common name. There are a lot of us here in the United States, just kind of sprawled from my family, dating back. But yeah.
So it's not the Japanese version of Brown, which is a very common last name.
Yep, exactly.
Andrew, I invited you onto the show because first off, I believe in lifting people up and putting people in the spotlight who aren't always in the spotlight. And I've been doing business with you for years when it comes to comic books. And so in talking about comic books, you were the one and only person that came to mind. So so I guess my first question is, tell me about the origins of Collector's Corner. When did you get started and all that?
Oh God, it seems like a lifetime ago. It's funny. First, I appreciate the kind words. Like you said, we've known each other forever, and it's been a great ride so far. And looking towards where we're going is a fun thing too. But when I moved back to Midland back in the early '90s, after trying my hat at school down at Michigan State for a couple of years, moved back and started working with one of the two local comic book shops just as a kind of hourly employee. And that was already called Collector's Corner Incorporated. But they were mostly a stamp and coin shop, doing some sports cards and a small little bit of comic books. And then after doing that for about a year, while I was working also at a record shop, if anyone knows what those are anymore, over in Saginaw called Harmony House, the owner then decided that he didn't want to run two locations because he had Collector's World and Collector's Corner. And so he was going to close down the corner and wound up offering kind of as a joke to buy the comic book portion out from him. And it wound up happening with the help of my parents, was able to put together the funds to do that. And so we started doing exclusively comic books and then games like Magic the Gathering we brought into town and helped create that whole local community for that. But then also Dungeons and Dragons and basically all your geek culture stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all kind of happened more as a joke than anything else, and spawned into something I've been doing for longer than I haven't. We're at 28 years now. October 4th is our anniversary, and a lot of things have changed over the years, but it's definitely been a wild ride.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of history, and um, it, it I guess that kind of makes me curious. How or why do you think Collector's Corner um, has survived in a world where a lot of comic book shops haven't?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't know if there's like anything specific that I think someone needs to do to run a successful business other than truly be passionate about what you're doing, whatever it is. And then just be kind, right? So one of the things that I pride myself and all the people that have worked with me over the years is to always treat anyone that walks in the door um, as someone that you want to be friends with, and give them an experience that you would want to have going into a store yourself. And growing up as a kid, one of the funny things was for me going into a store, especially in the comic market in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, was one that was geared towards an older group of people. From a collector standpoint. So when you go into a store and there's Silver Age or Golden Age books that are rarer, harder to find, more expensive, a lot of times I would have people that would staff these stores not really, they kind of blow me off, right?
Mm,
Or not give me attention, or treat me in a way that made me felt good about being in the store. And thankfully, that's something that's really changed in the industry over the years.
hmm.
And one specifically, like I said, that we like to make sure that experience never happens to any of our fans. Um, and so just giving those kind of experiences to our customers, I think, is one of the main reasons why we've been able to have such a great legacy and have so many people that come back to us and say, hey, I grew up in your store, or, I'm bringing my kids back to your store now that grown up and I've got kids, and so forth. So it's really awesome to be able to have those kind of things, and that's what actually gives me the most pride and excitement about having owned the store for so long.
That's awesome. Yeah, so back when we met, you had your physical location, um, and then you transitioned. When I moved from Michigan back to Indiana, you had transitioned to online, which was
Well,
great
yeah,
because
actually. Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
it was great for me because again, I had moved to Indiana, and I wanted to continue doing business with you because I'm very loyal when it comes to the places I purchase. And so I believe you were still sending me comics from your shop. Then you transitioned to online, and it just worked out great for me. So what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, so doing the brick and mortar thing was always my number one love. And, because doing the actual interactions with people, that's the thing that I really, really enjoyed. I honestly, running the business as far as the business was always kind of secondary
Right.
because, I'm a geek and I'm a fan at heart. And so I just kind of happened to stumble into this business and be able to kind of do it for a living for quite a few years.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was always my real goal. We started doing online stuff with eBay as a way to kind of just expand our business a little bit. But then when the pandemic hit, um we really had to shift gears really, really fast.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, when that first happened, March, our family was and is one that is high risk.
Mm.
So we took it very seriously from the get go. We have a lot of paper product in our store, so we couldn't like sanitize those well.
Right.
So even whether people were going to be wearing masks or whatnot, it was really, really a thing that we had to investigate really, really thoroughly. And from the get-go, after the initial shutdown was forced upon everyone in retail, we decided to kind of still stay closed at our physical location and kept it till about October of that year, before we decided that it wasn't worth us paying rent and utilities and things of that nature for a building that was basically just holding all our stuff. And despite what some people have been saying, we never closed. We've always been in business. We did close that physical location on Jefferson, and there have been some people that have gone around saying otherwise. But I'm happy to say that we just transitioned to online for quite a few years there. And, through Square or through Shopify, we were able to put together something that was not exactly what I wanted, or quite as fancy as I would like, but due to lack of time and lack of money really to invest into an actual full-fledged website design team or anything like that, we came up with what we've got, which I'm happy with for now. It does what it needs to do. But it's a work in progress. And as I start having a little bit more time here and there, I'll try and add in things to kind of make it more interactive, which, again, like I said, is the thing that I love the most. But yeah, so we did exclusively online for a few years. But then this past year brokered a deal with a local business called Stranded Yarn and Coffee. And we have a shared business space with them. So it's not quite what it was before, where a full-fledged store with literally hundreds of thousands of back issues, which I still have. They're just in storage. But we have displays set up there, and they're great people that help us out. We've had free comic book day there last year, and we've got displays up. So we've got lots of different stuff going on with them. But that's at 132 Ashman Circle, right smack dab in the middle of town. And, we're putting in more product every single week, more sales for the holidays, all sorts of fun stuff like that. And, yeah, it's been a whirlwind for me. So it's kind of hard to find all the right words and to piece it all together. But with loyal customers like yourself, we've really been able to keep those doors open and hopefully be able to get a lot of great product out to not only yourself, but other people, new fans, old fans, people that have been shopping with us for almost 30 years, or someone that's brand new to the whole comic book scene.
Yeah. So to backtrack a little bit, by the way, you watching this at home are not seeing this until way after the holidays. But he'll have those holiday sales in 2023, I'm sure.
That's right. That's right.
So giving up your physical location at first, switching to online, you did that for the bills and all that. But you were there such a long time. It had to have been hard to let that position go.
Yeah, it really, really was. It's an interesting thing, right? Because I think, like most people, I don't really think too much about what I'm doing now versus what I'm going to be doing in 10 years or whatever. And the older I get, the more I realize how your brain tricks you into thinking that after a certain amount of time doesn't pass, right? So my brain still thinks I'm still somewhere in my late 20s.
Yeah.
Which I've not been in for many decades now. But it's funny because when I was in the process of removing everything from the Jefferson Road location, it was a surreal experience, and it didn't really hit me until the last day that I was there, which was shy of, I think, a week and a half from being my anniversary. Because it was late September when I actually vacated the building. And my original hopes was to actually help another group of people create a similar environment and store that I helped create for many decades. But that unfortunately fell through, and so that made it extra sad for me, right? Because I've always wanted to have that legacy continue and go on, but it was almost like, watching the series finale of one of your shows, right, that you followed, whether it's Friends or Seinfeld or whatever MASH, whatever show it might have been, and I was taking some pictures, and originally I always kind of thought I'd share them on social media or things like that, but it wound up being, I don't know, like emotionally very weird for me, because I had spent so many years at that location. Like you said, I think it was 25 or 26 by the time that I actually left that location. And, my son was born while I was owning the store there, and he grew up in that store, and there have been times where my son's like, oh, I miss going to the shop. Aww. And, it's surreal is the only way I can put it. So aside from any business aspect, it was just a really emotional thing for me that I wasn't expecting. Yeah.
So when you made the switch to online, did you always intend to go back to a physical location, or did you think this is just the future? This is how it's going to be from now on?
Well, there had been a time for quite a while where I've been trying to balance my time between running a business and then having family time, and when you're running your own business, you're never not at work. Right. So it's not only the times at the hours that the business is physically open, but then, inventory and getting new product and pull lists and, especially when you go online too, all of a sudden it becomes 24/7, right? You have people messaging you on Facebook or whatever. And so was a constant struggle for me before we made the decision. And I was kind of trying to find ways to maybe do some transition earlier before that all happened. But when the pandemic hit and it kind of forced us to do things, it definitely accelerated any process that I had there. And then so I don't know, the decision wasn't really set in stone one way or the other, I guess. But like I said, one of the things that I appreciate the most is the interaction with everyone. And so that was always something that I missed. But now that I'm even got a physical place for people to come to, I don't really spend a whole lot of time in the store. So I'm still missing that aspect. But, I think for the geek culture industry, people like touching things. People like having a physical connection with the product before they actually buy it.
Right.
So from a pure retail standpoint, I think it's really important to have that aspect. But then also, I think one of the reasons why, tying in with the thing that you asked earlier, why the store was so successful for so many years is because you have that interaction with people, and that's the extra thing, that helps make sales too. So was that my end goal? I don't really have an answer for that, I guess. I'll tend to ramble. So I apologize for that. But
that's okay. I'm a rambler as well. But you are a lot more coherent in your rambling than I think I am in mine. So that's okay.
I'll make sure I play that clip for my family later, because they'll. I don't think they'll agree with you, but.
So you're back to your physical location, which, by the way, the address to the new location and the link to the website is in the description down below. Go and check those out if you can physically, if not, online. Andrew is a wonderful person to do business with. So let's end on kind of a more fun question. In the many years that you've interacted with comic books, what would you say is your favorite comic book run?
Holy crap.
Probably the biggest question I've asked so far.
It's funny because back when I used to go out with friends and hang out at the bar in my single days, um, we used to always have these conversations right around the table. Oh, what's your favorite science fiction film or whatever, and my answer was always, that's so broad of a question. Yeah, you got to narrow it down, right? Like Alien, the first Alien film is my favorite horror film of all time. Even though it's science fiction, I still think it's my favorite horror film. And you could run down the line, and science fiction for me would be Blade Runner. But to have it be what's your favorite film or what's your favorite comic run of all time, that's so difficult. So I will answer in steps.
Okay.
My favorite DC story arc ever is Identity Crisis.
Okay.
Absolutely phenomenal for a variety of different reasons. But not only did I think that the characters were super well written, each having their own personality and aspect. And when you're talking about a story that's encompassing the entire DC hero collection, it's really easy to have a writer write pieces that you could just interchange with any character. Like, oh, hey, we'll switch Shazam with Superman, and it wouldn't make a difference. But in the way that the story is crafted, the personalities are so individualized and so true to the characters. The second reason why it's my favorite is Brad Meltzer, the author, takes a throwaway 2-issue story from the Justice League from the Silver Age and expands on it. It's a story where, without giving any spoilers, the Justice League and the Secret Society of Supervillains switch bodies. So
wow.
Lex Luthor is in Superman's body, and the Joker's in Bruce Wayne's body, so on and so forth. And because it's a story from the Silver Age, they just kind of switch bodies, and they never talk about like the concept of secret identities or anything like that. And then they get switched back, and everyone kind of ignores the story and goes on with their life. But what they do here is they actually write the story and explain that, of course, the number one thing that the supervillains do is take off all the masks and find out who they all are, but then gives an explanation why the supervillains never mention this, ever. So it's a continuity thing, but I love it. And it's a super, super cool murder mystery story and absolutely phenomenal. So hands down, my favorite DC story arc ever written. And actually, you know what? I'll go out on a limb here. I'll just say that's my favorite story in comics ever written, with the caveat that there's so many other amazing stuff out there that if you give me another 3 hours, I will continue to ramble on about.
Now, do you have that story set in shop?
I do, actually. I always make sure that I've got graphic novels of it in store. They are down over at 132 Ashman Circle at Collector's Corner in Midland.
All right, so you have these graphic novels in the shop, correct?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Would you be willing to give my audience, who either buy it online or come in shop, a deal for that specific story, since that's your favorite DC story?
Absolutely. Let's do a straight 25% off for your fans, and kind of work together. We'll promote your show and give you guys a good deal.
Awesome. So the link to that book online will be in the description. And then if you're able to physically visit the store, make sure you mention this episode and get yourself 25% off of that awesome sounding storyline. I might have to pick it up myself.
Absolutely.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on here and talking with me. It's been a blast. I love being able to talk with you. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. I miss chatting with you personally, but then also, I like I said, I love talking comics. I love talking about the industry. It's great to reminisce. Anytime that you want to do something again, you got something specific or you just want to chat, I'm totally down for it.
Wonderful. Is there any last things you want to say to my audience?
Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out all of his other shows, which are all linked below, I'm sure. But then, yeah, come on over, visit us. We're on Facebook, and then we're also on all social medias under C Corner MI. So CCORNERMI. And then our website is also ccornermi.com. And I'm sure he'll also post all that information for me below.
That's right.
Somewhere
As usual,
down there.
all those links are in the description. With that, me in the future, we take it back to you in the studio.
All right. Peace.
Well, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And don't forget to ring that bell so you can be notified whenever we upload new content. Until next time, good night, my sweet angels. I'll see ya in the future.